So today I want to talk about this awesome indie game I came across called Gun Devil, developed by Agelvik. It's a fast-paced 2D shooter platformer with retro pixel graphics that I think look really cool. I feel a little weird reviewing this game for a specific reason, and want to give a little spoiler warning. It's not too big of a secret about the game, but I missed this detail before playing the game and was a little surprised by it. So if you know very little about this game, I recommend stopping this video and check it out. It's free on Steam, go download, play it for an hour, and come back to this video. So moving forward, what I mean by the spoiler with the game Gun Devil is that it's not a complete game. I've seen comments out there using terms like demo and proof of concepts, which does feel accurate. I do want to talk about that a little bit more, but want to talk more about the gameplay and such first. So Gun Devil is your standard side-scrolling platformer shooter at a glance. It's easy to pick up and play this game, but it definitely has its challenges as well. When booting up the game and even reading comments online, it seems using a keyboard is recommended to play Gun Devil. However, I use a game controller, which I more strongly prefer, and didn't have any issues with that. The gameplay is very fun and fast-paced. It's pretty much running to the end of the level using a projectile gun as your main weapon. Other controls include dashing and floating when holding jump. You can also unlock new guns, which you can experiment with, and magic spells, such as an arching axe that kind of reminds me of Castlevania. When beating levels, there are goals to meet that allow you to collect these coin items. There's 3 coin items per level, one you pick up throughout the level, one for taking no damage, and one for killing all enemies. I've seen some criticism about how the levels can feel a bit short, but I feel like the length of these levels do make sense, especially with the goal of beating a level without taking any damage at all. I do feel that if the levels were much longer, it can cross that line from being challenging to being frustrating. I feel like there's intent and purpose with how long these levels are, and it makes sense to me with the game's design. Now regarding the game's story. Basically the protagonist, the Gun Devil's wife, is kidnapped and you're off to rescue her. I've seen criticism about the amount of profanity used in the storytelling, but I really enjoy it. To me, it almost feels like a parody of how games can get overly detailed with storytelling and world building. While there's nothing wrong with telling an intricate story, it sometimes can come off a little bit cliche and forgettable. It did catch me off guard with this presentation of Gun Devil's story, but I think it's a fun way to provide motivation and narration without taking itself too seriously. So I really enjoyed the game, and honestly, I don't have much negative things to say about it. My only small criticism is with the gameplay. There's a high jump that you can perform by smashing down and jumping up immediately. Sometimes I will struggle with it, which was frustrating when I really needed to execute it, like the first boss fight. It's not too bad, but I do wish it was tweaked a little bit to make it easier to perform, such as having a slightly bigger window to perform it, or something different like holding down to charge and then do your high jump. So going back to the fact that this game isn't a complete game, it is somewhat of a letdown that it ends early on a cliffhanger. I don't think it's fair to consider the length to be disappointing, but I definitely feel like wanting more. I don't know much about the development of Gun Devil, but more information is provided in the game's ending. This game took about 2 years to make, working on and off, and seemed to be a challenging time for the developer. It seems like this version of Gun Devil was released to get it out there and was much shorter than envisioned. On a positive note, it seems like it's possible to see a complete game in the future. Again, going back to the game's ending message, it seems that this version was released to test if the game's worth pursuing and developing. It sounds possible that if this game does get enough attention and opportunities for funding, we may someday see a fully completed game. In conclusion, I really love Gun Devil, and to be honest, playing this game reminds me of that feeling of playing Shovel Knight for the first time. On the surface, it's a simple 2D retro style game, but definitely has its level of depth and challenges. I do really wish I could play a more finished game, but if considering this to be a proof of concept, it's very impressive and has so much potential. If there's news of this game being worked on further or possibly seeking funding, such as crowdfunding outlets like Kickstarter, I will update the description of this video as well as pin a comment. Gun Devil is a title definitely worth checking out, and keep an eye out not only for this game but for this developer. Thanks for watching.